Number 10, 1970, Buick GSX Stage 1. In 1970, if you walked into a Buick dealership, you expected to find something your father drove. Comfortable, refined, maybe a little boring. Buick had spent decades building that reputation, and then somebody in the engineering department decided to blow the whole thing up. The GSX was Buick's declaration that they could play the muscle car game with anyone. Saturn Yellow or Apollo White, those were your only color choice, both of them loud enough to announce your arrival from a block away. The 455 cubic inch V8 officially made 360 horsepower, but the real number was closer to 400. Stage 1 cars ran the quarter mile in the mid-13. That put them ahead of GTOs, Chevelle, and plenty of other cars that had been getting all the magazine covers. Only 400 were built. Buick never really tried to compete in the muscle car wars again after this. The GSX Stage 1 was the one moment Buick threw the rulebook out the window and proved they should have done it years earlier. Before moving on to the next car, if you enjoy this type of car videos, you can subscribe to the channel to stay updated on future videos, and then we can continue. Number 9, 1962, Pontiac Catalina Super Duty. Here's something people forget about 1962. The muscle car era hadn't officially started yet. The GTO was still 2 years away, and yet Pontiac was already building something that would embarrass the competition on any drag strip in America. The Catalina Super Duty was born because the NHRA changed its rules. Starting in 1962, any engine used in stock class racing had to be a factory-installed option available to the public. Pontiac had a 421 cubic inch Super Duty engine that was tearing up the drag strip, and suddenly they had to put it in street cars. So they did. 405 horsepower in a full-size Pontiac. Some of these came with aluminum body panels, hood, fenders, front bumper to shave weight. The aluminum-equipped cars, nicknamed Swiss cheese versions for the lightning holes drilled through their frames, could dip into the 12 seconds at over 115 miles per hour. Only 162 Catalinas got the Super Duty engine, with the rest going into Grand Prix model. This was Pontiac's secret weapon before secret weapons had a name. Number 8, 1970, Oldsmobile 442 Convertible. The 442W30 was already one of the most capable muscle cars of 1970. The 455 big block, the W30 Performance Pack, the handling that put it ahead of most of the competition. This was Oldsmobile at its absolute peak. And then someone in the product planning department asked a simple question: what if we take the roof off? The answer was 96 cars. 96 people in the entire world got to experience a W30 convertible in 1970, one of the most powerful Oldsmobiles ever built, completely open to the sky with 370 horsepower and enough torque to make the rear tires nervous every time you touched the gas. The W30 package included a fiberglass hood with functional air scoop, a special camshaft, and cold air induction that gave the engine a measurably different character above 4,000 revolutions per minute. The convertible added a vulnerability, all that power, the wind, the sound, the raw exposure, that made the experience completely unlike anything else Oldsmobile built. That only 96 were made. Most of them have been in serious collections for decades. If you've ever seen one in person, you already know you never forgot. Number 7, 1969, Chevrolet Camaro COPO ZL1. Chevrolet didn't want you to buy this car. That's not a figure of speech. They actively made it difficult because what they had built was so extreme, so far beyond what a street car was supposed to be, that selling it to ordinary buyers felt genuine danger. The ZL1 engine was a 427 cubic inch all-aluminum V8 developed for Can-Am race. Block, head, intake, all aluminum. It weighed 100 pounds less than the Iron Block 427 and made power that the official 430 horsepower rating couldn't begin to describe. Real-world testing suggested something close closer to 500. The quarter mile, high 11s from the factory, with street tires. The only way to order one was through the central office production order system, a backdoor ordering process that most dealers didn't even know existed. The price of the engine alone exceeded the cost of a fully loaded standard Camaro. 69 were built. Every single one of them is accounted for today, and every single one is worth well over $1 million. Number 6, 1963 Chevrolet Impala Z11. Chevrolet built this car and didn't tell anyone about it. Not the press, not the dealer, not the public. The Z11 Impala existed in a kind of official silence, a factory drag car wearing a streetcar's clothing, assembled in small number and quietly distributed to the people who needed to know. The 427 cubic inch engine in the Z11 was a purpose-built competition unit with a 13.1-to-1 compression ratio that required a fuel pump and fuel that most gas stations didn't carry. The aluminum hood, aluminum front fenders, and bumpers shaved over 300 pounds from the standard Impala. The radio was deleted. The heater was deleted. Weight was the enemy, and Chevrolet treated it accordingly. 0 to 60 in around 5.5 seconds in 1963, when most cars needed 8 or 9. At the drag strip, a properly prepared Z11 ran deep into the 12 seconds. Only 57 were ever built. Almost all of them went directly to known drag racers. Today, a Concours example is valued at over $400,000. In 1963, the whole package cost around $4,000. Number 5, 1997 Pontiac Firebird SLP Firehawk LT4. By 1997, the muscle car era was a memory. Emissions regulations, insurance rates, and the general direction of the industry had made genuine performance cars an endangered species. And then, Street Legal Performance SLP built 29 of these. The Firehawk LT4 used the same engine that lived in the 1996 Corvette Grand Sport, a 5.7-liter LT4 V8, making 330 horsepower, hand-assembled, fitted with a 6-speed manual transmission in the most desirable examples. SLP upgraded the suspension, the brakes, the aerodynamic, and the exhaust. What came out the other side was a Firebird that could outrun almost anything on American roads. In 1997, 29 were built. That's it. Not 290, not 2,900. 29. Haggerty has called it the most desirable SLP Firehawk ever made. People who own one today treat them the way museums treat artifacts, carefully, respectfully, and with a full understanding of exactly how replaceable they are. Number 4, 1971 Pontiac GTO Judge Convertible. By 1971, the muscle car era was ending. Everyone in Detroit knew it. The insurance companies had made performance cars almost unaffordable to insure. Emissions regulations were strangling engines. The party was winding down, and Pontiac built 17 of these anyway. The Judge Convertible in its final year came with the 455 HO high output by 8, making 335 horsepower in a car that had lost most of its muscle car contemporaries to corporate belt tightening. The Judge graphic, the rear spoiler, the wide tires, all of it still present, still defiant in 1971. 17 convertible in a year when the whole concept was dying. That makes this car something different from just rare. It makes it a final act, the last performance statement from a car line that had defined what American muscle meant, built at the exact moment when America was moving on. If the 1969 Judge was a declaration, the 1971 convertible was a eulogy, and only 17 people got to hold it in their hands when it was new. Number 3, 1963 Pontiac Tempest Super Duty. Here's a car that most serious muscle car historians know about, and almost nobody else does. And that imbalance is one of the great injustices in American automotive history. The Tempest Super Duty was purpose-built for superstock drag racing. Pontiac took the compact Tempest body, lightweight, relatively small, and dropped in the full 421 Super Duty V8 that was terrorizing the full-size class in the Catalina. The result was a power-to-weight ratio that made the combination essentially unbeatable in its class. These were the Swiss cheese cars, named for the dozens of lightning holes drilled through their frame to reduce weight, the aluminum body panel, the stripped interior, the racing-calibrated engine. This wasn't a car that pretended to be anything other than what it was, a weapon. 14 were built. Not all of them survived. The ones that did are considered among the most significant competition cars GM ever produced. produced. When one surfaces at auction, it draws the kind of attention that most exotic supercars never see. Number 2, 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge Convertible. The Judge arrived in 1969 as Pontiac's answer to the Roadrunner. Bright colors, big graphics, serious hardware. Everyone knew what the Judge was. Almost nobody knew the convertible existed. Pontiac never announced it. No brochure photo, no advertising. The cars simply appeared at certain dealership, purchased by buyers who happened to be in the right place at the right time. The Ram Air 3 made 366 horsepower in a car with no roof, just the sky, the wind, and everything that engine felt like, with nothing between you and the open air. Fewer than 10 were built. The exact number is still debated. Documentation is incomplete. Some of these cars spent decades in collection before anyone understood what they actually had. The 1969 GTO Judge Convertible is the kind of car that makes grown adults lose their composure at auction. With fewer than 10 in existence, that reaction is completely understandable. Number 1, 1969 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am Convertible. In the entire history of the planet, 8 people drove one of these off a dealer lot. The Trans Am debuted in 1969, white with blue stripe, functional hood scoop, rear spoiler, Ram Air 3, making 366 horsepower. In coupe form, 689 people got one, but convertible, 8 cars, 4 automatic, 4 manual, no factory announcement, no advertising. The documentation of exactly how they came to exist has been lost to history. Today, all 8 are accounted for. When the last one publicly changed hands in 2016, it sold for $1.9 million. The 1969 Trans Am Convertible isn't just the rarest GM muscle car ever built. It's one of the rarest American cars of any kind, in any era. 8 of them, every single one still out there. Cherished, protect, irreplaceable.